Nearly time for Argentina against Romania. Thinking about Sunday's game, also with that in mind, Argentina can't afford to lose this, can they?
No.
Otherwise, Sunday doesn't, matter as much.
And they also need a bonus point. So they would like to get this bonus point before half-time. And then, the second half, just close it down. You don't want to be fancy, you don't want to get injuries, so just close it down by half-time.
OK, then, let's cross over to the Aussie Stadium in Sydney and join our commentary team with Jamie Salmon. And first, Mark Robson.
Thank you very much indeed, Angus. Yes, 2 games in 96 hours for Argentina. Ireland have an extra 3 days rest, and Marcelo Lofreda is using all the resources at his disposal, he says. Now, this Romanian side, they have conceded the most points in the tournament so far, 135, still recovering from that swamping against Australia. There's a few tears in the eyes there. You would have thought this would simply be a bridging exercise for the Argentinians before the big game against Ireland, but they seem to be up for it. Well, Romania have made 5 changes to the side that conceded those 13 tries to Australia. Danu Dumbrava, who was impressive against Ireland, has a shoulder injury. The Dublin doctor Viorianu is on the wide outside. Brezoianu moves from the wing to full back. And it's a very impressive looking bench for the Argentinians. Look at that, Federico Mendes, Omar Hassan, Rolando Martin, if he comes on, will break Lisandro Arbizu's all-time record, Pichot and Quesada. Much less firepower on that Romanian bench, where they've made a late change. Sakachu is not quite fit, so Giok replaces him. The Pumas have made 6 changes from the team that began against Namibia, and only 5 actually survived from the team that began against Australia, so they're using their squad well with that Ireland cruncher just a matter of 4 days away. The Miranda brothers are at half-back. Santiago Phelan becomes Argentina's 3rd captain of the tournament, and the referee is an Englishman, Chris White, who handed out 2 yellow cards in his only other World Cup match to date in 2003, and that was Wales against Canada. Jimmy Salmon is alongside me, and it's hopefully going to be an interesting confrontation.
Yes, I think very much so. I think the first 20 minutes will be very interesting. Romania have shown they're competitive up front. They've got physicality. They haven't got much pace in the backs. We haven't seen much as yet. So the first 20 minutes will be very interesting, and judging by Argentinian's most experienced player, Sporleda, and his reaction to the national anthem, as you rightly say, they're certainly up for this Argentina, and it augurs well for a good encounter.
Yes, Sporleda was in bits there. His 78th appearance for his country, and his 4th Rugby World Cup and his 9th match in the World Cup, but clearly he is keyed up and ready and raring to go, as we are now at the Aussie Stadium. The first rugby test match played here was between Australia and the Lions in 1989, when a certain Mr. David Soule, who's on the ITV commentary team, was playing. But it's going to be Tofan, who's had a rather disappointing tournament so far for Romania, who gets the match underway, and Romania already firing. But turnover ball straight away, and it's Miranda to his brother Miranda, our kid to our kid, and decent ground game.
Well, a good start by Argentina, good kick-off collection and good distribution. It's a bit hard when your brother's playing scrum half. If the pass doesn't quite reach you properly, what do you say to him? How much you might say back to him, but good line out by Romania.
Yes, well taken by Sokol, who played well in the game against Ireland at Gosford, and driven on by the experienced hooker Razvan Mavrodin, whose throwing in that day also was excellent, whereas Ledesma's against Australia was disastrous. So Ledesma has a lot to prove tonight if he wants to play in that big game in Adelaide against Ireland. That's Sirbu to Tofan, and for the 2nd time, a lot of height on that ball, and underneath it it's Hernandez with the error and a knock forward. So scrummage is going to go to the Romanians. The full black who played against Namibia made a brief blood appearance against Australia, but didn't look that sure under the high ball.
No, he didn't. I haven't been that complimentary about Tofan, the Romanian fly half this tournament, but it was a perfect kick, because as you see, it dragged Hernandez just outside the 22, and an excellent attacking opportunity now for Romania.
Not a bad scrummage either, and it's picked up by Shiriak. Presents the ball well. Here's Sokol again. That's inside the Argentinian 22, and Tonatza, who's been Romania's best player in this World Cup, number 7, helps him out. Tofan again, he takes the aerial route, and it's a good one, you know, it's a dangerous one here on the left wing. It's taken superbly well by Hernan Senilosa. Miranda waits. Some precision kicking by Tofan in this first 5 minutes. And it's Juan Fernandez Miranda who clears his lines, who spent a long time as understudy to Felipe Contepomi and Gonzalo Quesada.
Well, a great catch by Senilosa. I was a bit surprised he didn't get given the mark, but here we go. He goes up for the ball really well, almost tackled in the air, but presents it well, and good regrouping by the Argentinians to save the day.
Well, they say that Tofan's very much a confidence player. If he begins a match well, he's inclined to keep going in that vein. He didn't start well against Ireland, and he had a nightmare. And again, they've gone for Sokol, and you can see what I mean about the throwing in of Mavrodin. He really is a tremendous exponent of that difficult art, or an art that some hookers have made look very difficult in this tournament. And it's Tofan, and he has started well. And in the centre for Romania, it's Maftai. But again, they've lost the ball. That 2nd turnover ball for Argentina. And Miranda, one against the head. And what a great kick that is by Miranda. Nicolas Fernandez Miranda, the elder of the 2 brothers at half-back, who played together at club level for Hindu. But that was super stuff.
Well, it was, but here we see the turnover ball. Argentina driving forward, diving on it. And Romania learned pretty harsh lessons playing against bigger teams, that you cannot afford to be loose in your ball retention area, otherwise you pay a 60-70 yard penalty.
Ledesma gets his throw right. Taken on by the big flanker, Martin Durand. Ledesma wrestles the ball clear for Miranda. Once again, Miranda. And drive on now by Phelan, Santiago Phelan, the captain. Well, Ledesma, he's tackled well by Judorai. The referee saying hands off, and I think the man he's going to penalise, yes it is, it's Santiago Phelan, the captain. So the first scoring opportunity of the match, as we look at the huge beast-like figure of Martin Skelso, the tight head prop, who used to play for Northampton, won a Heineken Cup winners medal with them in 2000, but they've gone for the lineup.
Well, perhaps they've got more confidence in their hooker than we have in terms of Ledesma finding his man, and it will be a catch and drive, I'm pretty sure of that. And they've got good options in the line-out. Albacete in the middle is certainly one they have very high hopes for.
Ledesma's throwing in has been much better already. He's hit the mark a few times. And look at that, the right winger has joined the drive. Nunes, Piasek, so they're all in there. Backs and forwards. Waiting for the ball is Buza. Pick and drive, and it's a loose head prop, Roncero this time. Now here's Miranda. That's good defence though by Romania. Ledesma helping out quickly, good support by the hooker. Now Miranda once more, and an attempted, well that's his wrong foot, his bad foot, his weaker foot, and it certainly showed there.
What also showed was Argentina's lack of creativity ability, and once Romania had withheld the catch and drive from the line out very nobly, they also withheld the midfield move, so great defence by Romania, and they can be well encouraged by that. And here, that's nowhere near it, is it?
Well, that's what really surprised me in the Australia match against the Romanians, because I thought they defended pretty well and played pretty well all round against Ireland, and actually, you know, Ireland had a very good workout that day in Gosford. And what exactly happened to them against Australia, I'm not quite sure. Maybe Australia are a much better side than we thought.
Well, it was pace. I mean, you can be the best tackler in the world, but if you can't get there, it doesn't really matter. And certainly Australia were far too quick all round in all sorts of positions for Romania. But their basic organisation is sound, and Scherer, the coach, deserves great credit for that. Their set plays are good, and their defence is good, but they do lack creativity. And the one thing they really lack is gas and some flyers in the back line. Yes. As to Argentina, I have to say.
Yes, Bernard Scherer, the little Napoleon they call him, the Romanian coach, who also coached France to victory at the World Under-19 Championship and the Students' World Cup in 1996, so a good record. The French Federation, as you may or may not know, really do help the Romanian Federation out as much as they can with the release of players and coaching and equipment, as do, I have to say, England. Andy Robinson's been over doing a coaching session in the capital, Bucharest. It's good to see the bigger powers helping the weaker nations. Tofan must be certainly one of the smallest players of this World Cup, who missed 3 penalties against Ireland. It could have been a bit closer there. Mario Ledesma, the intimidating figure of Mendes on the bench, who may well be preferred in the hooker role to Ledesma for the match against Ireland, but well, that happened quite a lot against Australia. They did lose ball. Whistle's gone though. But it's a strongly competitive opening 10 minutes this from Romania. I think that was a foot in touch was the decision. So here's Ledesma again. Can he find his man this time? And he goes deep to the 30-year-old number 8, Pablo Buza. Now this much vaunted Argentinian pack really has to begin to dominate the Romanians. Miranda. Little bro. In comes Brezoianu. Wasn't taken conclusively, was it? Knocked forward by Gabriel Brezoianu, the very experienced player. He's played pretty much at all the positions in the back line, but more used to playing on the wing.
This will be an area of interest. Obviously Argentina famous for their scrummaging power. They've got plenty of depth in the prop department, as we can see here.
Buza. Miranda, that's a poor pass. Dreadful pass by Miranda. Well, looked like he was wearing a blindfold for that one.
The scrum was certainly good, and they'll be content with that, as they always are, but he missed 3 players there, I think.
Well, the touch judge was away in a clear overlap, because that's where the pass was aimed. Razvan Mavrodin, his 31st cap. That's a dreadful throw straight to Phelan, and now it's Durand, Martin Durand, the support for Miranda, and it's a knock forward by Conte Pomi. Advantage Romania. 8 minutes gone, the first time the Argentinians have looked like bursting through this Romanian defence. But importantly, we do see how crucial it is to find your man on the line out. It was because Romania gave the ball away out of touch.
Yes, it was. Hard straight running this time from Argentina, and just couldn't capitalise. And what Romania are doing here, I know not. Running it out from their own 22. It's not their specialist skill that I've seen in this tournament, I have to say. And having competed pretty well, why they didn't drill it into row 54, I know not.
Yeah, it was the Dublin doctor, Viorianu, who was trying to run from his own 22. Maybe he spent too long in Ireland, because that was a rather Irish thing to do.
Steady. Adelaide on Sunday.
Well, I'm getting nervous already. And again, it's a disaster in the line out, and it's Sirbu who looks for support, knocked forward by Mavrodin. Advantage to Argentina, but I think there was a couple of knock-ons there, so no advantage.
The other thing to look at in this game is that Lafreda, the Argentinian coach, doesn't want to bring on too many subs because he wants to save them for Sunday. So normally we get, you know, the chaos that ensues with 15-20 minutes to go. He won't be that keen to bring on Pichot or Quesada or Rolando Martin and people like, or Federico Mendes. So these guys could actually play 80 minutes, which is a rarity these days.
Makes life easier for people like me. And cracking through the centre, it's Martin Gaitan, and Martin Gaitan scores his 4th try of the tournament and is now the joint top scorer for the Rugby World Cup 2003 with Muliaina of New Zealand. A late replacement for Lisandro Arbazu. He didn't think he was going to make the World Cup at all, but my goodness, what an impact he has made on this tournament.
He certainly has. Great line. You can see the angular run there. Straightens it up and it becomes a one-on-one, and he comfortably goes round Brezianu to dot down between the sticks. And there was certainly relief all round, I think, in the Argentinian camp there, and their faces as they congratulated this wonderful run by Gaitan. But it was the angle of the run that made it.
6 caps, 7 tries. Not a bad return by the man from Biarritz, who had talks with Bath this season apparently. Now in his 3rd season in France. So Argentina 7, Romania 0. The conversion successful from Juan Fernandez de la Cruz Miranda. They've played 6 times, these two teams. Argentina, not surprisingly, have won the lot. The last met in 1998 in Rosario, 68-22, but on one famous occasion in Bucharest in 92, Romania got to within 3 points. 21-18 was the score on that day. But of course that was just at the end of the great Romanian era, the superb Stoi Bucharest army teams. Clearance by Miranda, but Romania have not beaten a major nation since 1991, and they've taken it quickly through Brezoianu. But thumping it straight back to Argentina. Oh, and a bit of problem there. Bad bounce for Nunes Piasek, but he finds touch, the right winger. Viorianu, I beg your pardon, of Romania, the doctor who plays for De La Salle Palmerston. Miranda, it's a bit more like it. He finds his man this time, and that man is Albacete, the 21-year-old. Who's the Argentinian under-21 captain, and as Jamie quite rightly pointed out, a great hope in this Argentinian side. Miranda, so much height on that one. Miranda that's pretty good hands from Skelso. And now it's Nunes Piasek. Nunes Piasek looking for support inside, but Romania covering back well through Serbu, and he runs into a JCB in Martin Skelso and is simply bounced into touch.
Romania got plenty of numbers back there, and when you're a little scrum half, you do not expect to see Skelso on the touchline, but he doesn't make too many rucks of Skelso, but when he does, he certainly has an impact upon them. But a bit of pressure now from Argentina on Romania.
Ledesma again. It's Albacete. Good line out forward. Miranda to Miranda again, and it's Nunes Piasek coming in off that right wing, but not at any pace, which makes it easy to defend. And they've turned the ball over through Tudorai. The Argentinian, or the Romanian back row rather, were impressive all round against the Irish team, especially Tonitsa, who's been a real star for the Oaks. Miranda. Ledesma. Albacete stays on his feet, presents the ball well. Looking to miss players out in the midfield. Hernandez comes in. Referee says play on. Brezoianu thumps it downfield, and that is quite a kick.
Well, the opening 15 minutes has been interesting to say the least, and I think a certain Eddie O'Sullivan, the Irish coach, will be watching this in his hotel room with obviously an eye on Adelaide on Sunday, and the ball retention ability of the Argentinians has been very poor, and if they can create that sort of presence in the tackle area, they'll be well encouraged by what's happened so far, and credit to Romania for the manner in which they've gone about this game.
We're not seeing so far those famous driving mauls from the Argentinians. It all looks a little bit static. It's solid enough, but it's not going very far. Now Ledesma for Bouza, and it's going to be numbers 2 against 3, yes, as Chris White, but it was a bad throw again from Ledesma. It was Sokol who picked the ball out of the air.
And a scrum half, you have 2, it's a free kick. Okay, because we weren't talking about it.
Romania had one too many in the line out. That's what the free kick's for. Chris White has said it 4 times to try and get the Romanians to understand his ruling. But as you rightly say, Ledesma is not finding his man, and they don't seem to be as organised as you'd expect them to be.
Well, it's like he's speaking a different language. Maybe he's been given a separate line-out code to the rest of the forwards, but it's not working. It didn't work against Australia. It's hard to see how Lafreda, at the way Ledesma's playing, how he can pick him for the match against Ireland. And again, Eddie O'Sullivan will be encouraged by the fact that the Argentinian line-out has been a disaster area.
I tell you what, you take Mavrodin, the Romanian hooker, his throwing in's been excellent this whole tournament.
But Argentina come away with the ball. Miranda into the line again. It's Hernandez who does look to have a little bit of pace. It's Skelso so strong inside the 22. 20 stone of prop forward.
Well played, Tudorai, Romanian number 6. Not only made the tackle, got back on his feet, competed for the ball, and Skelso did not fancy releasing it. Inside pass from Hernandez, here he comes, drags him down to Tudorai, gets to his feet, competes for the ball, nothing wrong with that. They wouldn't let him have it, so Chris White gave the penalty to Romania.
Marianne Tudorai there, his first start. He played 70 minutes against the Australians and 13 against Ireland. Like so many of these Romanian players, plays his rugby in France, but this time Mavrodin does make the error, and it's good robbery. Bit of a Dick Turpin there from Albacete. In goes Miranda. Look how far away his brother is. They played club rugby together at the Hindu Rugby Club. The error on the far side by Teodorescu.
Well, one man to the fly half has been saved by that man, because it was a very poor kick. It was far too deep. There was no chance of competing for the ball, and that is should be better bread and butter catching, that should be. But another Argentinian scrum, their ball, and we'll see how ambitious they are, as our favourite props found a calf muscle.
Must have taken a lot of prodding to find that. Well, we're in Sydney, of course, for this game, in the Sydney Opera House. 30 years old this month, Jamie Salmon. A series of celebration nights are planned with opera, jazz, and even underwater ballet. You could do that.
Well, I didn't realise you'd started your cultural tour, but obviously you have. We didn't know about that, but wonderful information once again.
Well, the Queen has been there 9 times. President Ford, President Clinton, the Dalai Lama, Pope John Paul II, Nelson Mandela and Billy Connolly, and one of those people has played international rugby. Which one is it? Jay Salmon, the expert. That's a better scrummage from Argentina. Driving forward is Buza Miranda, and coming into the centre is Conte Pome. Miranda to his brother, missing out Gaetan, and coming off the wing is Senilosa. Tackle, good tackle it was by George Chiriac. But look at the ferocity of that Romanian forward play. You would think after that absolute welting they got against Australia, they would have lost a bit of heart, but not a bit of it. Not a great kick though. That's Hernandez, and neither's that. Gives the ball straight back to Romania and to Serbu.
Well played, Romania. Great defence. Again, a poor kick. Serbu quietly calls the mark, throws the ball back down at Hernandez to express his disgust at him following through on the tackle.
Don't forget our next live match coming up on ITV2 tomorrow morning from 10:40 AM. The flamboyant Fijians match it with one of the real entertainers of the tournament so far, Japan. And don't forget Sunday, ITV1 from 7 AM, the crucial match which may decide second place in Pool A. Argentina against Keith Wood's Irish Marauders. All coming up exclusively live from your home of the 2003 Rugby World Cup, ITV, and the website itv.com/RWC. Taken in there by Roncero, the loosehead who's in his second season with Gloucester. Took them to the Zurich title, but not the overall championship last season. Or helped to, rather. Miranda. Conte Pome once more. Look at the driving play there by Martin Gaetan, the fellow centre. He's actually done some good forward play, Gaetan, like an extra wing forward. But look at that, Romania have once again turned the ball over, and Eddie O'Sullivan will be rubbing his hands with glee at this.
Well, Argentina aren't helping themselves at all. I mean, when you take it into contact, you expect it to come back, and 2 or 3 times now it's failed to do so. They've had the ball ripped off them. It makes it very hard work.
By the way, the answer to the question, which one of those people had played international rugby, Pope John Paul II had a couple of caps for Poland. Blood injury. Santiago Fila.
Well, that'll bring, I think, Roland Martin onto the field, who played the opening game, who's an open side. So, that looks as though that could be stitched up or bandaged.
And you're absolutely right, Roland Martin, he breaks the record, becomes the most capped Argentinian, passing Lisandro Arbizu's record of 85, and it's his 10th World Cup match. That's Buza. A little nudge forward, another error by Argentina.
Yeah, but it's Romanian put in, and it'll be interesting how much pressure they exert on that scrum, the Argentinians. This is where they're very dangerous.
They miss loosehead Balan, who was exceptionally good against Ireland. He's got an ankle injury. So in his place is Petisor Todorask, and there's an Argentinian scrummage full of pampas beef. Again, it's all very scruffy and unimpressive from Argentina. There's not a huge amount of composure.
It's almost as if they don't want the advantage and want to have the next scrum. They prefer to have another scrum rather than take the advantage. But certainly they made a real mess of the Romanian scrum then. And this is where obviously Argentina are very dangerous. They disrupt opposition ball and they just love doing it.
Yeah, whenever you look at, famous Argentinian rugby players, the list includes a lot of front row forwards, doesn't it? Like Ledesma out there, Mendes, Roberto Grau, Patricio Noriega. Well, the greatest of them all, of course, was Hugo Porta. Only played in the one World Cup in the end, but 19 years, the out half for Argentina. What a legend. So Romania conceding 135 points before this match. It's now 142. So by quite some distance, the most points against in the tournament. Argentina have scored 82 and conceded 38.
Replacement, please. Replacement.
I think the blood injury has been taken care of. A few stitches maybe put in the face of Santiago Filan, or a bit of bandage certainly applied. So Orlando Martin breaks the Argentinian record. He's only on for a couple of minutes though.
Chris White's not enjoying it too much, the English referee. There's not too many people understanding his native tongue out there.
Bouza helping him out is Martin Duran, but it's poor passing. It's pretty dreadful. Drive by Skelzo. Wouldn't like to have to try to stop him too many times. Miranda, little chip through into the corner. He looked up, he saw the space, but, well, that's okay. But it does give the ball away to the opposition. If Maverdin finds his man, then they'll clear their lines.
It's a bit like Argentina when they played Australia. They got enough possession, but their lack of creativity and the way they don't vary their play just hampers them, and it's just frustrating to watch. It must be awful for the forwards to watch it, because they get enough ball and they frittered away with gay abandon for some extraordinary reason. But it's certainly going to be interesting how they cope with the rest of the game.
Christian Petra taking the ball there, who played number 8 against Ireland, but more familiar to playing lock forward. Toffan's clearance.
I mean, territorially there's only one side in this, and Argentina should be 20 points up, but they haven't taken their chances. They've allowed the ball to be turned over 2 or 3 times, and I don't want to criticise the Romanians too much, because they've defended very well. But talk about taking chances and not being a charity show. Argentina aren't there.
No, they're not. But you do think that this half an eye thing on the Ireland game, that they're expecting to do enough, maybe at half pace, to get past this Romania team, having watched them against Australia. But that's a dangerous attitude, especially the way the Romanians performed against Ireland. And they look like they're performing more the way they did that day than they did against Australia.
Well, and also these Argentinian players are fighting for a slot on Sunday. I mean, forget all this talk about 2 games in 4 days. Yes, it's true and factual, but most of the Argentinian first teamers are on the bench or sitting in the stands with their coats on, and it'll be 10 days since they played again. So if I was one of these Argentinian guys, I would want to say to Afraid of the coach, you've got a selection dilemma here, pal, because we're going to produce the goods tonight.
Yeah, Ledesma's one of those, no question.
Oh dear.
Well, that almost sums it up. Gaetan as well in the centre has scored 4 tries. He's putting pressure on.
Perhaps there isn't competition for places that fly half, because Miranda knows that,
yes.
that there's a certain Casada waiting in the wings, and there's also another fly half, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Conte Pomi as well. Little Ion Toffan. Brezoianu coming up for this one, but a little bit indecisive, and Hernandez it was who got his hands to the ball. It's Gaetan. That's a good tackle by Viorianu. Gaetan did well to stay on his feet. Now it's Ledesma, but he just throws the ball away. Didn't look. It was basic lack of skill there, really. Look at Tonita. He knows what he's doing in there. Very good flank forward. Miranda, and Miranda's brother for the drop and goal.
Well, it just belies belief what Argentina are doing. I mean, it is not the 78th minute, and they don't need to drop goals. They should have the confidence to keep the ball in hand. They're just not treating the ball like a precious commodity. They're treating it as though it's a a couple of toffees you give away to people and just help yourself time. It is just quite extraordinary. And there's Hernandez, who you would thought would have a go and have belief in retaining the ball with forwards around him, but he has a pot at goal.
Yeah, they're playing sort of nonsense rugby at the moment, Argentina. Nunes Piasek. And look what they've done again. Just kicked the ball away. Serbu. Crowd are loving it. They're starting to support this very gallant Romanian side. That's Senelosa. It was a good offload by Hernandez. Miranda.
Well, in terms of points for trying, Romania would be right up there in this World Cup. And having suffered 90-point defeat on Saturday in Brisbane, they've come down to Sydney and they've really met this head on, and good on them. The commitment they've shown and the desire and passion they've shown for their country.
It's a first Rugby World Cup encounter between these two nations. Sokol, such a good line out forward. There's a touch of the Pat Jennings about him, the way he can take the ball one-handed. That's the drive on by Mavrodin. Oh, and he's given the ball away to Phelan.
Then Phelan just gets the ball knocked out of his hand. I mean, instead of really gripping onto the ball and holding on to it, they've got the bonuses. That's Mavrodin going forward. There's the intercept, and he just can't hold on to it. It was a perfect pass in the breadbasket, and it still slipped. Yes, captain, you've got to do better than that.
Serbu. Tofan. He's tackled by his opposite number. One for Hernandez Miranda. Play on to the referee, it's a ruck, and they've turned the ball over, and here's a chance to break perhaps. Miranda has numbers outside. Defence drifting across successfully, and it's another dreadful error. It's Manuel Contepomi this time. There's knock-ons all over the place in this match, and Romania scrummage to them. But it's not a good night so far for Argentina or for their coach Marcelo Lafreda. The Irish team, of course, will be watching this safely tucked up in their hotel, having named their team today.
Yes, indeed, and that was a surprise, Ireland naming their team so early in the week, as we see Serbu getting some treatment for a shoulder injury by Oxford, or arm injury. Yes, no, they'll be well happy at the moment, and Argentina just not helping themselves at all, and nobody standing up here and being counted and leading these guys, because somebody has just got to get some discipline and some basic business sense into their heads about how to go about this game, because at the moment they're keeping Romania in the game by their appalling play.
Yeah, they've had so much possession, getting the ball out as quickly as they possibly could, and Serbu with the kick goes straight into touch, and it's not one of the better games we've seen in the Rugby World Cup so far. It's absolutely mistake-ridden.
Well, the Mexican wave is already going around this very healthy crowd at Aussie Stadium. The crowds here have been remarkable for some of the lesser games, if I can put it that way, and tonight's no exception.
There's 30,000 here tonight. Contepomi is a big man, big drive. Tonicha with a tackle, and this is Sporlater, Pedro Sporlater, the 78th appearance for Argentina. Miranda, the chip through for Hernandez to chase. Hernandez needs the bounce, and he gets it, and he scores Argentina's second try. Well, that at last was well worked. Juan Hernandez, the man that Leicester had a look at, makes it Argentina 12, Romania 0. Argentina have done some dreadful kicking in this match, but that time it was effective.
Yeah, it certainly was, and Breziano, the Romanian fullback, was caught behind the ruck and maul, which didn't help the cause. So, to be fair to Juan Miranda, good vision to notice that, and he just gets it down before he's scragged away. But they went through a couple of phases. They got 2 or 3 pieces of ball retention, which enabled them to see some gaps and ease the pressure somewhat.
Well, it was almost at the old head. Sporlater had thought, right, come on lads, I'll show you what to do. There's a ways and means. Let's pick it up, drive it, straight lines, move forward, gain some ground, get a platform, and it's a try. Argentina 14, Romania 0 on the half hour. Hernandez, who played full-back against Namibia, gets his first try of the World Cup. Gaitan. Big bacon slicer, that one from Martin Gaitan. So Romanian throw to the line out from Mavrodin, and let's see if they use Sokol again, talented forward. Tonica can jump to at the tail. They've actually got quite a few options out of touch. In fact, they use Tudorai at the tail of the line out. Ah, that's good hands and good rugby. Oh, well, what a pity. The knock forward by Todorask, and here comes Manuel Contepomi. Well, he looked like he was running into a bucket load of trouble, but my goodness, he did tremendously well there, did Manuel Contepomi, brushing off half a dozen Romanians, it seemed. Knock forward. The referee, though, Chris White, is playing advantage for an offside decision.
Well, it was a pity because it was a very good line-out move by Romania, and it was Todoras, the loose-head prop, who eventually lost it forward in the tackle, which enabled Argentina to clear their line somewhat. But that's Contepomi, brother of Felipe, and this is the hands once again. It wasn't a very good pass, it has to be said, by Durand, the open side of Argentina. That didn't help the cause at all. It could have been much softer and more easily presented, but now he threw it like a bullet and said, try and catch that.
The forwards coached by Harad Dumitras, who was the captain in 1990 when Romania beat France away 12-6. 50 caps he had for his country, and a real tough-looking chap. But he has certainly helped Romanian forward play in the last couple of seasons. When their standards as an international power have improved again after a dreadful 8 or 10 years. Miranda. Oh, that's terrible. Venezuela. Hernandez, the try scorer, running into a wave of defenders, but he's managed to somehow get through the tackles of Guntiniak and Maftai.
Number 9 is offside, stopping quick play. Number 9.
Offside against Serbu, so Argentina get the penalty.
Well, neither side are going to, or their kickers are going to win any competitions for the way they tactically kick the ball. And certainly Hernandez got through far too many tackles there. Once again, it was the grubber kick going through, but this time far too far from Juan Miranda. But offside, and I think Argentina are going to try for another 3 points, I think.
Just an indication of their improvement. Romania won 6 of their 10 internationals last year. They have had their moments in the World Cup, winning 3 matches. That's a good kick by Miranda. Argentina 17, Romania 0 with 7 minutes to go to half-time.
It'll be interesting what the Argentinian coach Lafreda says at half-time about the manner in which they should play this game, because at the moment whatever plan they've got doesn't seem to be working, and not everybody seems to know it. So how he wants them to approach the second half and the manner in which they want to play the game. So at the moment they're kicking, I believe, far too much ball away, and it goes without saying, and apologies for the repetition, their ball retention is appalling for a side that is going head-to-head for a quarter-final slot on Sunday.
Thank you. Not on by Argentina.
Romanians have been all over Australia at this World Cup. They started in Gosford, then they went to Brisbane, now Sydney, and they finally play the only match in this tournament in Tasmania, of all places, Launceston. But it's a big game for them. It's their chance to return from this World Cup with a victory. But it's a dishevelled looking scrummage against the Argentinians there, which you would expect because the Argentinians are so powerful in that department, and Romania have recovered well here. Coming into the line is Brezoianu, but Tudorai can't gather.
Well, they've got a real problem now, Romania, at the set piece, and they've got to go for channel one ball. Serbu's just got to get it in there, cleared from the number 8's feet as quickly as possible, or the number 8's going to pick up and drive. That's what's got to happen. But loose passes don't help, and certainly I don't think it was Tudorai's fault. He's not had a bad first half, actually, to be fair.
Argentina can take their time in the scrummage. So much in control. Look at that. That's Bouza. Great servant for Argentina, Bouza. Spent a lot of time on the bench in his career. And they're now giving away penalties in the scrummage because they're under so much pressure there.
It's Mavrodin, the hooker for Romania. And Argentina elect to clear their lines, or get it deeper into Romania territory. Could, of course, call for another scrum if they so wish, but it wasn't quite the right place to do that. That possession tells its own story, 74% to 26, and certainly Argentina should be much further away than just 17 points to nil.
Ledesma, oh dear goodness. Poor old Mario Ledesma. You do have to feel for him giving the ball away to Tudorai. They really should have held on to the ball there. Play on, says Chris White. Toffan. Crash bang wallop. Toffan wrapped up, did well to make the ball available to Todorask.
First defence, you've been hanging on.
And not 10. Romania, Argentina taking it quickly. Sporlera sets the ball up. Again, referee says play on. Chip through for a Martin Durand. Hernandez, that's the second ball he's dropped in the air. But that's good presentation. The Argentinian forwards having to regroup behind their man. Albacete. And it's Numek Piasek who plays at scrum half on that occasion. And in comes Gaetan. And Serbu clears. Pretty good clearing kick. Hernan Senelosa gets it to Juan Hernandez. And again they just kick the ball straight back to the Romanians. In comes Brezoianu. But to be fair to Romania, the ball has bounced horribly for them in this first half. Toffan, Serbu at standoff. Number 12 for Romania is the captain, Romeo Gontiniak, in his 50th appearance for his country, but an accidental offside.
Well, what the first half has taught us is that, and I don't wish to sound arrogant, but I reckon I know which Argentinians will not get in the team for Sunday. And I think Hernandez is one at fullback, and I know for a fact Juan Miranda at fly half ain't going to play. But I'm afraid it's been that sort of game. It's those guys that have been making all the mistakes, and certainly Ledesma and hookers on last chance saloon time. The guy that's impressed me in Romania, though, is Serbu, the scrum half. I think he's got a good vision for the game, a good understanding for the game, and a good reading of the game.
Yeah, second season at a Racing club in France, so he's obviously pretty well rated in that part of the world. Senelosa. No. He's tackled by... We can see it coming, can't we?
Offside, number 4 and number 5.
Maftai. Well, there's two players offside, though, for Romania.
It comes from the options down.
Well, I suspect they'll drill this down the left-hand corner and rely on their line-out skills and try and drive it towards the line just prior to half-time and get further points on the board. But Juan Miranda isn't the biggest kicker I've ever seen. But that's plan A by the looks of things.
Oh, it's another appalling kick and a chance to run for Tito rescue, taken on by Tanitsa, the impressive Tanitsa. Serbu to Toffan. Now can they move it here? Romania, oh, they had a slight hint of an overlap and they've given the ball away. It's Manuel Contepome who scores Argentina's third try. Romania with only themselves to blame there because they had an excellent attacking opportunity. But Conte Pome picking up the scraps and like a vulture cruising in to put Argentina 22-0 ahead.
Well, as you say, Romania created their own downfall. Loose play, hacked on, bounces kindly into Conte Pome's hands, and he beats Tofan quite comfortably, who won't be the top tackler in this World Cup. And there it gets rebounded off into his hands, and you'll see Tofan coming across, and Conte Pome's far too big and strong for him. But really, they don't really deserve it either, Argentina, having had the penalty, which they missed touch on, which is pretty criminal at the best of times. But fortuitously, they've got this score just before half-time and now killed off Romania, I suspect.
Yes, Tofan's tackling, as to quote from The Meaning of Life, is wafer thin. Miranda adds the conversion, so a little quick synopsis from you, Jamie, on the first half.
Well, it's been disappointing in terms of the quality, but it's been fascinating at the same time to see how these players react to it. I've been impressed with Romania. You know, God forbid you come off for a 90-point hiding, but they fronted and they've stood up, so great credit to them. Argentina, pretty poor.
Second half after the break, we'll get analysis from Scott Hastings and Francois Pienaar.
That's some blue rins. In Sydney, Romania waiting for the second half. So are we. Can't wait. Possession in that first half dominated, as we see, by Argentina. By the statistics, couldn't do anything with it.
No, it was absolutely key. Actually, this gives us, after 27 minutes, actually, there was 73% of possession, so that's just showing 61. But after 27 minutes, 73 possession, you can see there, 29%. That's the hot zone there that Francois was talking about. They've not actually penetrated too much from there, but let's hopefully that they can build on possession, and they're just going to dominate this game. I don't think Argentina will use their subs either. I think they'll just say, play out the game, get the bonus point try, and that means we can now concentrate on Sunday's game against Ireland.
Ready for the second half, guys?
I can't wait.
Let's go there. And back to Jamie and Mark.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, I haven't had as much fun since I last took the tweezers to my nasal hairs, and on that occasion it was irritating and painful, a little bit like this rugby match, Jamie Salmon.
Yes, you could say that, although I can't share the experience that you obviously had. Yeah, Argentina have got to up the ante. I mean, you'd have thought these guys, that I know they're the second 15, so to speak, but they've got to produce a far better showing than the first 40 minutes. And while Romania, I'm afraid, sounds even harsh, this, they've got Tasmania to look forward to for their final game.
So Argentina will kick off in the second half. Cesar Popescu is on for Silviu Florio, and they've made a couple of changes. Ondrej is on for Teodorescu on the wing. Not surprised they've replaced a prop, because they were under extreme pressure in the scrummage, as so many teams are that play against Argentina, much better teams than Romania. So can they lift themselves for the second 40 minutes, and can Argentina produce more impressive rugby to give themselves some confidence for this match against Ireland coming up in Adelaide at the weekend? Oh, the charge down straight away, the pick up by Miranda, and a try. Well, 30 seconds from the restart, the Romanians coming out looking to build some sort of momentum in the second half, and how they're going to recover or maintain any sort of composure now in the last 39.5 minutes, well, it's hard to tell. Tofan's kick was poor, but it was well followed up by Miranda, and Brezoianu could do nothing about it.
No, it's, you know, you just wonder why Tofan went through with it. And as you say, Nicolas Miranda was in the right place at the right time, and he enjoyed it a lot, obviously. But Tofan, as one of the more experienced players, you would have thought would have got it right, or seen the fact that he was under huge pressure and there was a chance of the kick being charged down. But it's going to be a very long 40 minutes or so for the Romanians. Duran down, I think, with a problem.
Yes, Martin Durand, who played blindside against Namibia in the last 10 minutes against Australia, who missed the 99 Rugby World Cup through injury. But it's Juan Fernandez Miranda. 4 from 5 is his return. And make that 5 from 6. It'll be interesting to see what the Argentinians do in terms of selecting their out half. Felipe Contepome against Australia missed a lot of kicks. Maybe Lafreda will go for Quesada, because his return usually percentage-wise is higher.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Argentina will play a tight game on Sunday, and therefore he'll want his best kicking fly half there, and a lot of pundits are saying that Quesada is going to be the man.
Yeah, 7 successes from 10 from Quesada in this World Cup so far. Argentina due to name their team soon. Ireland announced today with some interesting selections, notably in the back row, which has caused a little bit of controversy amongst the Irish press. David Humphries getting in at out half. Anthony Foley wasn't considered due to injury, but no Eric Miller there. He played well last time out. Costello at number 8. Alan Quinlan on the open side, and preference to Keith Gleeson.
You sure you don't want to name the whole team as you're going about it, or was that enough?
Well, it just gets me excited talking about Ireland. You know it does. They're my mates. That's Mavrodin at the tail of that ball. Popescu deep inside the Argentinian 22. Whistle's gone, but not releasing.
Well, temper's fraying a bit in that little encounter, but a good drive by Romania, but they get isolated, and once you get isolated you tend to hold on to the ball, and therefore you give away a penalty, and that is exactly what happened. You've got to go in that situation in 2s and 3s to ensure that you retain the ball, but once you get isolated you leave yourself very open to penalties such as holding on to the ball, and referees have been very strict on that in this World Cup.
Well, as you say, very few of these players will play against Ireland in Adelaide. Some of the big guns are on the bench, other players are being rested. You would fancy Mendes to start in that match. Pichot obviously at scrum half, Quesada. Well, it's almost becoming comical at times. Poor old Mario Ledesma. I hope if he's in his pub darts team, he's going to get dropped, isn't he?
Yes, I can see a non-playing captain role, but I can't see him leading the hockey.
Yeah, I used to be good. I'll make the tease. Sokol. That's Andre at scrum half. He's on for Sirbu. Can only imagine Sirbu must have been injured in the first half because he played pretty well. That's Toffan. Came off his foot, I think.
Back to square one, and our favourite friend Ledesma has another chance to not only put it in straight but find a chap in blue and white. They're pretty distinctive colours, and the head guards help. I would just say, listen, Sunshine, don't bother with the back. We have got 2 jumpers. One's at 2, one's at 4, because the throws to the back have been pretty disastrous.
I think he should turn his back and throw it over his head, because it wouldn't make any difference. Here comes Romania at last. Up into, well, again, straight in off their feet, Romania. When they had a chance, they had good, clean, quick ball. There was no reason to do that. And the penalty goes to Argentina. And I think Ledesma has got the rugby equivalent of the yips. No, it's getting that bad.
And he probably knows the coach isn't going to replace him because he wants to save Mendes for Sunday. So it's not as if he can actually be saved. The ignominy of what's happening out there today. Poor old Romania, having got a sniff of it and got over the gain line, then get penalised for their over enthusiasm. Let's put it that way. And once again, we know where we are now, don't we?
Goody gumdrop, says Mario. It's Bernard Langer he needs to speak to. He's got over the yips a couple of times.
Short line out, that helps.
Yeah, good man. Sporlander takes it at the front. Drive from Albacete. There's Ledesma. Better with ball in hand. It's Bouza. Good drive again. The right winger is joined. 2 metres short. Roncero, the loose head, with the ball close to hand. But held up, says Chris White. 5 metre scrummage, which should be fascinating to see what happens here. The Romanians in all sorts of troubles in the tight. They've brought on a replacement prop already, Popescu.
Yes, typical Argentinian drive. Much better, just couldn't quite finish it off. Weren't patient enough. Almost going too quickly. And what they do off here, I don't think needs Einstein to work it out, but I don't think the outside centre is going to get a touch.
It's a great scrummage. It's Bouza. And it's a try for Argentina, Pablo Bouza. And that takes Argentina past 400 points in their World Cup history. 36 points to 0. And that's where Eddie O'Sullivan and the Irish boys will be slightly more concerned when they see the power of that Puma drive.
Well, and the other thing, just looking ahead to that, is that they can bring on fresh props, and they are pretty useful scrummaging props for the last half hour, 20 minutes, whatever the case may be. And Bouza will not score an easier try, I don't think, in his career.
No, I do think all round, I mean, you can correct me if you wish, but I think Argentina maybe haven't quite got the strength in the back row that they used to have, because Rolando Martin in the game against Australia looked like he was a little bit over the hill. I mean, he is in his mid-30s now.
Well, that's why I was interested to see the Irish back row. Surprised that Gleeson was dropped, but as you say, the combination that Freda picks for the Argentinian side will be very, very interesting, because the number 8 in particular has got a key role to play in terms of the decision-making part of the game, although Pichot will obviously have a big bearing on that as captain and team tactician, as we see Juan Miranda miss one of the few kicks at goal tonight that he's tried. And here's our friend Bouza. That's easily done.
Big Bouza, just like yourself.
Steady, steady. I know you've got a cultural tour with the Sydney Opera House, but don't need to cast aspersions anywhere else, thank you.
We all know Harlequins can't drink. I jest. No, that's a good run by Nunes Piasek, but another Argentinian error, the knock forward.
First one by White, second one by the back we come, scrimmage here.
Well, once again, Argentina not helping themselves. And I think this might be quick ball they need here. That's it.
Get it in, get it out.
You're off your feet.
Albacete was off his feet. It's taken quickly by Andre. Gets support inside from Mavrodin. Good player, Mavrodin. He's had a fine World Cup. And it's been difficult for these Romanians, mostly on the defensive. They've conceded over 20 tries in this tournament. Here's Tofan, keeps the ball available well. Andre gets the ball wide. Now it's Tudorai.
2 penalties over here, second one holding on.
Well, there were 2 infringements, says Chris White. So can Romania get points on the board here?
Second one holding on, first one off the feet.
Well, our friend Tofan's taken his head guard off, so I presume he is going for goal. I can't believe he's going to take it off to put it into touch. But Gontiniak, the captain's having a word, but they are going for goal, and the Sydney crowd are not too enamoured by that decision, by the sound of it.
Well, yeah, you can run it, but I think, if your forwards are getting a pasting, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a rest while you're out half as a potted goal. You get a few points. David Humphreys, similar thing actually. He found he kicked a lot better when he removed his head guard. Whenever he kicked with the head guard on, he wasn't as effective. Isn't that interesting?
It's fascinating,
yeah.
And it sounds particularly Irish.
Yes, well it is.
I'd have put it bottom left in the corner. Their line-out's going really well, and try and be a bit more positive than this. The crowd go wild as Romania get on the score sheet. The bench don't, by the looks of that shot.
11 points in the World Cup for Ayanu Tofan, 5 against Ireland, where he missed 3 penalties though. Like Serbu, who's now off the pitch, plays for the Racing Club in Paris, and Miranda restarts for Argentina. And nobody called for the ball. Complete confusion. They've done well to recover it through Tudorai. Andre, good straight run there by the second row forward, Christian Petri. Not rolling away, says Chris White, and taken quickly by Andre. Tricky little runner is the replacement scrum half. Tanica makes it available for Tudorai. And now it's the other big replacement on the pitch, Petrake, who started against Ireland, second row forward. Tudorai goes to ground, tackled by Ledesma. That's Mavrodin. Hands off the ball, said Chris White, he warned them. And they've taken it quickly. Petre. Andre, more like it from Romania. They've big numbers out wide and they still might create the overlap. Sokol. Andre knocks forward. Well, he was looking up to see where he was going and not where the ball was.
Popescu didn't help either. I think that's Popescu, number 17. He had eyes on the Argentina player rather than getting control of the ball. But Andre's done well coming on as reserve scrum half, a little live wire, and brought some urgency and some pace into the Romanian game, which is something they lack a lot of, to be frank. And the magic spray, when some things don't change, isn't that good to see in this modern day? When you played, they must have had the modern spray even.
Well, I played in a charity game once, and I was playing on the wing and chattering to the crowd, and the spray came on. I'd done my hamstring, and somebody in the crowd said, "You should spray it on his jaw, freeze that."
They're not alone.
Miranda missing touch. Brezoianu follows it up. Miranda misses it. Back there goes Skelso. Listen to the crowd getting behind this Romanian team. Got hands on the ruck, hands on the floor as the signal from Chris White.
Well, Breziano doesn't like it. It was a top kick. There wasn't a lot of money on Miranda catching it, I have to say. And it was Skelso who got back to cover it. And they were coming offside. The ball certainly wasn't out, so it's a fair decision by Chris White.
Top try scorer of all time for Romania is Gabriel Brezoianu, who played all 3 matches in the last World Cup. Ledesma slightly better, but still not the accuracy that you require, because it allows Romania the opportunity to rob the ball.
Sorry, there's no advantage there. I thought it was here. There's no advantage.
We've given Ledesma a hard time tonight, but at the last World Cup he was in the team of the tournament, so he had a very good event then. Not this time round.
We should talk him up and give the tape of the game to the Argentinian coach, and he might pick him yet for Sunday.
Look at that scrummage again. They are toying with that Romanian 8. Gaetan. There you are, boys. Have the ball back. A little bit of fun. Brezoianu looked like it was a bit of obstruction there in midfield, caused by Maftai. Referee says no. Blindside option from Andre.
Now he's holding on. That's what I mentioned earlier about when you go alone, you pay a big price if you don't get it right, and that's certainly what happened to Andre, because he's not the biggest of men, obviously, but to go around the fringes against Argentina, you should know there's going to be somebody there. There's Breziano just evading both an Argentinian and his own player, and there you see, well, it's men against boys, that is, isn't it? And he's not letting go, and the referee quite rightly pings him for that. That's Tanitsa, who's got rave reviews from a lot of independent press boys on this trip.
Argentina, of course, beat Ireland in the last World Cup in Lens in France to go through to the quarter-finals, and they have beaten France twice this summer. They got to within a point of South Africa when Louis Kuhn kicked a last-minute goal. So they've had a good build-up to this tournament, Argentina, and quite a few people, again, as you say, independent observers, thought they might have beaten Australia in the opening match. Never looked quite like happening, but they have come into this tournament with a big reputation.
They still struggle in the backs, though, in my view. They still struggle creativity-wise, in the physical side of it as well, and most importantly, in terms of pace. That's where the area they really struggled, and Ireland have got to play a wide game on Sunday, I think, to get a win out of it.
Well, I think the selection of David Humphries shows what Eddie O'Sullivan may be thinking about, because he's much better with the ball in hand going forward, Humphries. Anyway, here come Argentina going forward against Romania. Bouza with the ball, losing his shorts. And Argentina failing to control the ball, and they're going to be penalised, though. There's hands again in that ruck. It was Tanitsa who was penalised.
Now, will they make this really exciting and kick for goal, Argentina, do you think? Or will they tap and go, or put it in the corner? Decision time. They won't dare kick for goal because this Australian crowd will go berserk if they elect to kick for goal.
Fancy it'll be into the corner, yeah. It's going to be... there's little Desmond's got his head in his hands. Please don't. No.
One, Miranda, please.
Kick it. No, and again, well, you know, it's happening time and time again.
They keep throwing to the back, and he just can't get it to the back. Now they've conceded a penalty, which is against top sides. You just don't lose those balls. I mean, they've lost so many balls. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But you just cannot do that.
Ireland will destroy them in the line-out if they don't get this part of their game right by the weekend. But then it's not going to be Ledesma chucking the ball in, is it? Very unlikely to be. You really got to go for Mendes.
Why are your fingers crossed?
Phelan, the captain, Argentina's third captain in this tournament. Ledesma. Miranda, and coming in off the left wing is Senilosa. Pick up and go by Roncero, but obstruction.
Straight into Sporleda. Another self-enforced error by the Argentinians. It won't matter too much because obviously the ascendancy they've got in the scrum, they know that it's not going to threaten them much, but I don't think Toffan will kick this one for fear of another charge down, but this is going backwards the rate of knots, isn't it?
They've actually done pretty well there, Romania. Andre, they've regrouped. I tell you, his pass isn't as quick as Serbu's, and it puts Toffan under a little bit of extra pressure. It's a bit floaty and wobbly.
Another short line out from Argentina, which is going to help this man's cause. Theoretically.
Taken by Sporleda, Pedro Sporleda, who's been around a long time. Hands off. Again, that's 3 times in the last 5 minutes that they've put the hands on the ruck, Romania. Chris White must be thinking about a yellow card in from the side, and just giving away penalties at will now. So, you know, Chris White, they've got to be consistent here. But here come Argentina, taking it quickly. The human breeze block. Scelso goes to ground. Here's the open side flanker now, Martin Durand. Miranda gets it out to Gaetan, Hernandez, Nunes Piasek. Nunes Piasek, what a beautiful dummy it was from him, and showing strength. Did he ground it though? They're going to have a look, but I suspect he was held up. But Chris White using the technology at his disposal, and why not?
Well, Steve Walsh
whether the ball was grounded, please.
just wants to know if the ball was grounded, as you heard there. Steve Walsh, the touch judge on that near side, certainly suggested that Chris White should have a look upstairs, as they call it, and that is not on the ground, under control, resting on his arm, I think. So I don't think this will be a try. It'll be a scrum 5, is my call.
Nunes Piasek, who's the world record holder for tries scored in one match. He scored 9, would you believe, against Paraguay. TV official is Mark Lawrence, who was also the TVO, as they call them, at the Ireland-Romania match. Well, there was a couple of instances where they had to use the TV replay, and he gave a try for a Humphreys push on a Romanian player, you remember.
Held up, scrum 5, Argentina.
And well done, Chris White, because that was his first initial thought anyway, and I think if Walsh hadn't said anything, the game would have carried on. But they got the right decision in the end, and a couple of Argentinian replacements coming on, including the Argentinian captain, number 20.
Rolando Martinez on for the second time. He's replacing Phelan, who sustained that cut, as you can see in the first half. There he is, Rolando. He's already beaten the caps record now for Argentina. And Augustin Pichot, who has played quite a lot of his rugby in England for Richmond and for Bristol. It's moved on now to Stade Francais. It's so powerful, that scrummage, so powerful. It's absolutely unstoppable. And Pablo Bouza gets his second try of the match. He also scored 2 tries against Namibia.
Well, it was a pretty predictable call, wasn't it? They certainly weren't going to throw that out wide. Straight repeat of what happened on the other side of the field. Well controlled, and they'll go for this on Sunday, without question. They will go for this. Ireland are not a famous scrummaging side by any stretch of the imagination, so it'll be a very interesting contest indeed.
It helps Ireland that John Hayes is back at tight head, but they do look so impressive there, and they always have done. It's the traditional focal point of Argentinian rugby. Gonzalo Quesada is on, who we fancy will start against Ireland at the weekend. 119 Rugby World Cup points he has. He's 1 point behind Gareth Rees and Matt Burke in the all-time list, so this is to break a record. And he is such a wonderful kicker, Gonzalo Quesada. And the Argentinian lead has increased now to 43 points to 3. Don't forget our next live match coming up on ITV2 tomorrow morning, 10:40, the Fijians against Japan. And then on Sunday on ITV1 from 7 AM, get up early, get those breakfast parties organised. It's the Argentinians against Ireland. All coming up exclusively live from your home of the 2003 Rugby World Cup, ITV, on the website itv.com/RWC.
Well, I have to say I'm surprised and afraid of bringing on Pichot and Quesada rather, especially Pichot, and I really am surprised, because the last thing he needs is anything to happen to those sorts of guys, because, well, that's gone once again going back in the rate of knots.
Depends how you look at it, Jamie. Don't think there are too many Irishmen would be distraught if Pichot or Quesada pulled a hamster. Hernandez. No, he's good, Hernandez, when he has the ball in his hands. He's a bit suspect elsewhere, and that's great supporting running from Senelosa. The pass came to him from Sporlater. That's the halfway line. Pichot to Quesada. The master boot of Quesada. So the ball's going to have to be played by Viorianu. Did Pichot put in touch? No, says the referee. Play on. Numbers wide. They've missed out Ledesma. That's Conte Pomi and Gaetan. Knocked forward though by Martin Durand.
You see, often when they have a 3-on-2, 4-on-3 situation, Argentina, they're really poor. They just don't, draw the opposition in and commit them and then pass it out. It's very poor. It's lateral. They go straight across field, ball in one hand. Certainly Gaetan comes in too early, I believe, tries to give the ball back, and down it goes.
Tudorai helps out Sokol. Andre Tonitsa, tackled by Scelzo, and the ball has been won by Argentina, and it's Albacete, but he just sort of chucks the ball back. Quesada, Conte Pomi, Rolando Martin, the 35-year-old veteran, goes in to help his teammate. Attacking ball to Argentina there.
Have you got an injury? Hang on. Injury. Wait.
Yeah, we're just going back to that point about using the replacements. Argentina haven't got great depth, and this World Cup will certainly be won by numbers 16 to 26, not 1 to 15. You're going to have strength and depth, and certainly you need guys coming on with 20 minutes to go who are A, ultra competitive, but B, quality. I'm not convinced that Argentina have got that. So if they were to get a couple of injuries to their key men, I don't think the guys coming in are of that necessary quality.
Yeah, they've definitely got the depth in the front row. Doesn't look as if they have it in the back row. Front row in terms of scrummaging, I mean, not throwing into the line out. But yes, elsewhere, and as you say, there's a lack of real pace.
That's on. Wait. Stretch. Okay, wait. Stretch and hold. Engage.
Pichot. Armchair ride for Pichot behind that scrummage, and coming into the line, it's Hernandez looking for his second try. Juan Hernandez in the corner. Another Puma try. Don't get too excited, lads. It's only Romania.
Hey, but a backline move's worked. That's why they're so excited. On the short side, good move too. Good move, good timing. Just the hesitation there, but good line in from Hernandez. There could be an argument that against the top side, Quesada may have been barreled by the time he gave the pass away, because he's 1, 2. It's a long time, but a good line of running, and certainly our friend Tofan was left sprawling on the ground as Hernandez goes in on the corner, and Pichot suddenly thinks they've scored the try of the year.
Yeah, well, Tofan is not one of the great tackling outside halves of world rugby. He does have his qualities, that ain't one of them. And he does become the invisible man at times, Tofan, when there are people to be brought down. And look at that for a record, 167 Test career goals, and he rarely misses. Top points scored the 99 Rugby World Cup with 102.
He played in Lens, did he, in that famous game?
Yeah. He did. And of course Ireland can't afford to give away penalties against Argentina against this man, and that's one of the reasons why they lost in Lens 4 years ago.
Good try. Got to give him credit for that. Good lines of running, good distribution, good timing. One of the better tries this evening, but it didn't come from a Romanian mistake.
Yes, it was created, crafted. Buza for Pichot. Quesada. Massive boot, but not finding touch, and well kept in play by the little replacement scrum half, Andre, who's very lively on his feet. Now that's what you call getting the ball back quickly. In fact, it's too quick. Here's Ledesma. Has allowed Argentina then to pounce. Ball was out. Play on, says the referee. Pichot did remarkably well there on the ground.
Wait, out.
Quesada. Well, they're going to move it here. There's too many Romanian numbers across. Defence was good this time from them. Tackle from Soan, Christian Soan, the big winger who played against Ireland. Quesada. Hernandez fancies a hat-trick. Churoy. Brezoianu. And he takes on Gaetan. Andre. Toffan. Forward. Surely forward. Referee says no. Viorianu, the doctor, gets support from Mavrodin. Crowd getting right behind Romania now. Andre. Soan. Hard to stop is Soan. Not releasing and taken quickly. Roncero of Gloucester. Pichot. Gaetan, Miranda, the ball though coming off the boot of Tetrisor. Todorask, who has the best bench press in the Romanian team. Useless fact there. Don't know why I bothered saying it.
Well, a good run by Romania, good passage of play, but once again they get isolated and give possession away.
As usual, a whole raft of replacements coming on now. Latest is Tatu, winning his first cap. This Buza.
I don't know why they go to the back. I mean, they... And, blimey, it doesn't half surprise you at times, really. I mean, he just hasn't hit the back in 2 games now, or anywhere near it. If he misses the man, it's not straight. Bring on Mendes, please.
Petroquet, number 18. He will be the man. Was that straight? Well, play on. Andre sets the ball. Pick up by Petroquet. Mavrodin clears out. Oh, play on. No knock on. Toffan slips. Sokol in all sorts of trouble. Tackled by Martin Durand. But that's good from Romania. They've recovered the momentum. And they get a penalty.
Argentina holding on there. Number 3, please.
Another substitution. They're going to take Scalzo off, and Sokol has gone down. He's got the Maori tattoo. Soren Sokol, who plays at Agen. Number 17 for Argentina, Omar Hassan, another Agen player. Played at Wellington and ACT, and is now with, as I say, Agen. Omar Hassan leads the singing on the team bus. He's a baritone and hopes to be an opera singer when he retires from rugby.
Nice little link in to the Sydney Opera House once again from Mark Robson on this cultural tour of Sydney.
Martin burrows in. Pichot. Quesada. Tonitz out quickly.
Not forward in the line out first of all. They'll come in and have a scrum.
Not forward in the line out though. We're right next door to the Sydney cricket ground here at the Aussie Stadium, which was opened in 1988. It hosted the Olympic women's soccer final in the year 2000, this stadium. We do have some fabulous facilities here in Australia and great crowds Australian folk, they pick a team and then they stick with it through the tournament. Townsville was incredible. The whole place became Japanese. And the Japanese even held a pool party for the townsfolk a few days ago, just to say, you know, thanks very much for the support. And I'm looking forward to our match with Fiji. It should be thrilling stuff.
I want a bigger gap, please. Both sides coming in. Open up. Wait.
French very relaxed for their game against Scotland at the weekend. They were down at Bondi Beach today, while the Scots suffering from the suspension of Martin Leslie for 12 weeks, which leaves them short in the back row. Andrew Blower's out already, and John Petrie injured in the match the other night.
Pushed in the back.
Well, it's been a huge penalty count this evening, and the two sides haven't helped themselves in that regard. And certainly with the scrummages, it's a lot of unenforced errors. As Casada hoofs a huge kick downfield. That Martin Leslie 12 weeks though is a hell of a ban. It must have been. I haven't seen the footage, but I've never heard of something that long. And when you think what Tau did, the Fijian winger, and he only got 2 matches, that's a really horrendous ban for Scotland, and obviously for the player himself, who's not a dirty player by any stretch of the imagination, but I haven't seen the footage, so I can't really comment.
Advantage to Argentina. Mavrodin, well, pulling down. Mavrodin may have been penalised anyway. Here comes Pichot. Pichot's almost clean through, gets support inside from Ledesma. Pichot, big numbers wide, but they couldn't get the ball back quickly enough, Argentina. Inevitably getting a penalty, but Chris White could have handed out, you know, a whole deck of yellow cards by now, to be honest.
Well,
this time number 12, number 21 has gone off his feet and killed it. Please, no more penalties. Can you have a word at killing the ball? Thank you. Can you have a word?
Just tell them hands off, please.
Hands off, please. You're on the floor. Let go. Thank you.
Hands off, fair enough. Good advice from the captain. It's taken to the 75th minute for Chris White to call the captain over and say, this is what I want done. But Pichot, this is where he's very dangerous. These quick penalties. Inside to Martin. He just couldn't get the ball away after that. But will they go for a hat-trick of pushover tries? One has to ask.
Probably. 5 minutes to go. Half century for Argentina. Well, it's such a struggle now for the Romanian front row. They must be desperately exhausted. The shoulders must be raw red. It just sounds painful. Not giving up Romania. Look at that, they're holding Argentina here, who look for the second drive. Oh, well done the Oaks, that's fabulous stuff. And it's the biggest cheer of the night as Tofan gets the ball away. Listen to it reverberating around this Aussie stadium. Now it's Martin Gaetan. Hernandez, oh, beautiful offload by Hernandez to Gaetan. Gaetan is a great runner with ball in hand. And did well to hold on to it too. Pichot, now they have got massive numbers wide. They've got a missed man out, and they should be in the corner. Well, they didn't move the ball really quickly enough and allowed the Romanian defence to drift across.
That's where top side score, and Argentina can't. They're too lateral, they don't commit the defence, and as you rightly say, allow the defence to drift across and take out them or handpick the men off. And they really are poor at that, Argentina. They don't get much practice at it because they keep on going for pushover tries in the 76th minute when they're winning 50 points to 3. But there's going to come a day in this World Cup where they've got to do it.
Pichot, that's good hands in midfield. Here's Hernandez. Great tackle by Tonitza. He's a fine player. He's a proud player, as Tonitza. Pichot. Hint of a forward pass there. And it's going to be another penalty. Well, he's really been very sympathetic almost to this Romanian team by not putting any of them in the bin The Englishman had no bother putting 2 Welshmen in the bin, though. Salmon wisely stays quiet.
Well, he knows that England might play Wales in the quarter-final, so there's a bit of forward planning to be done. Now, can our man finish on a good note?
Yes, he can. He finds Bouza. Oh, again, Romania won the ball back. Oh, that's great stuff. Gaitan. He's looked pretty good. That was a bit lateral that time, though, and Romania have not given up at all, showing massive commitment. This is Duran. That's the 22. Tee shot. Play on. Advantage. Caseta. Miranda. Ledesma. Oh, nice little flick from Ledesma. Senilosa. Tee shot. What a great player he is. Caseta. Again, there's numbers out wide. They've made a little bit of a mess of it. Brezoiano comes in and knocks forward.
First one this way, second one that way. First one, second one. Scrum there, Romania.
Well, they haven't quite managed to get away, Romania, and get down the other end.
Okay.
Brezoiano struggling there. Once again, when they go wide, Argentina just don't look the part at all, and I think looking ahead to Sunday, Ireland should take great encouragement from that. There's nothing for them to fear, and they've really got to attack Romania and play a fast, wide game, but obviously a controlled game at the same time. They've done the business tonight, Argentina, not surprisingly. Romania have played a noble part in the tournament, I feel. Yes, they've had a couple of big hidings, but let's hope they get the suitable encouragement both on and off the field in the next couple of years that enable them to compete on a level playing field. But certainly they've got some useful players, and it's a question of whether that can be allowed or is able to be continued by the hierarchy and the coaching staff.
Well, Romanian rugby goes professional in November, so hopefully that will help them too. Caseta. Miranda. Oh, it's a poor pass. Poor pass. Gaitan. Miranda is playing in the centre now, by the way, which is where he began against Namibia, so he's well used to playing in that position. But there goes the final whistle from Chris White. Smiles all round, and the Argentinians have completed a victory. 50 points to 3 here, but of course now they look ahead to the gargantuan game in Adelaide at the weekend, when the Pumas take on Ireland pretty much for a place in the quarter-finals of the Rugby World Cup 2003.